Hey everybody, welcome to Are We Live Now? And we are because I see red lights. So welcome to the show. I'm Paul.
And I am Kat. And I see we've got some active traffic talk in the chat right now. People are really getting into their traffic scenarios in their hometowns, which is extremely fascinating.
John, let us know what's happening on the blue route. Delays on the Ben Franklin. Uh-oh, guys, be aware and proceed cautiously. Look for side routes. If you're trying to get there, be safe.
Paul, do you use an app for traffic? Like a Waze or something like that?
I use Google Maps and
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate Waze because it'll show you where the cops are, and I'm like, haha. I feel like I like that because I'm like, oh, now I'm in the know, and I'm not supposed to know this information, but I do. Having said that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't use Waze. Do you?
Okay. I tried it, but um I am a little old school, aka stubborn. And because I used to drive a lot. I was in recruitment, so I was on the road all the time, traveling to high schools all around Canada, talking about the university that I worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And I really took a lot of pride in looking at maps, like real honest to goodness maps. And I I like to just see exactly where I'm going and then go there. I really hate relying on someone to tell me when to turn. So I actually really dislike using GPS for the most part, unless I'm in a different place completely, in which case it is smarter to do it. Although every time they talk, I just like cringe a little inside. So I resist using them a lot, but I'll usually look them up before I go somewhere just to check and see if there's any like actual blockages or something like that. That's helpful. But I'm a little stubborn there.
Have you ever pulled over and asked for directions, and then halfway through their answer, you realize I'm not going to retain any of this information, but you don't say anything and you keep listening and act really grateful. And then as soon as you leave, you're like, I got to go somewhere else.
You know how what happens to me is when people give me directions in landmarks. I can't follow that. When they're like, oh, just, turn left after the third corncob mailbox. And I'm like, what? I can't. They're like, oh, and then you'll see a Tim Hortons on your right, and then you'll see this building on the go, and then turn there. And I'll just say, just tell me north, east, south, or west, please, like a normal human being. But I recognize that not a lot of people actually operate that way. A lot of people like the landmarks. I am not one of those. I'm also not a map turner. Let me know in the comments, map turner or not map turner. I'm not a map turner.
Also, let me know in the comments, have you seen three corn cob mailboxes before? I've never even seen one. So to see three in a row that's an
Okay.
impressive hat trick of
Full disclosure,
mailbox.
those directions, it is the corncob mailbox. There is only one in that particular area. And every time I pass it, I laugh because my friend used that to describe it. And I'm not going to lie, it is salient now because of that description. But there's legitimately a corncob mailbox between where I live now and where I used to live.
And everybody, salient is the $5 word today. Use it with your friends, impress them, because you're gonna sound hella smart when you drop in salient.
And I see that Sarah doesn't use GPS, loves real maps. Yes. Just it stinks when there's construction or the road's shut down, and that's where the tech does kind of win out. And then, wait, why does CK say I'm not a normal human being? Did I say it's
Wait.
not normal? Wait, which thing did I offend you with?
Are you not the normal human being, Kat? Or is CK the not normal? Somebody's
I don't
who's
know.
not normal.
Yeah. Oh, and JV is not a map turner. CK is wondering, what is a map turner?
Oh,
Okay,
and also
so if you're holding a paper map, I always hold it north, no matter what. If I turn the vehicle's going a different way, that map is staying north. When I'm with people in the car, and then as soon as they turn a corner, they turn the map with them so that they follow it.
Mm-hmm.
And GPS does that too. So GPS also drives me nuts when they're constantly moving. I would rather kind of see it always north facing. That's based on how my brain works. I'm really getting into it.
Also, CK, also important to note, you're asking, why is the countdown camera still on? CK, here's the thing. It's a beautiful piece of overlaying that Cat designed. So we want people to know that how attractive it is. If you would like to download it, we can offer a free link. That's really what this is.
Oh,
an
we
opportunity.
can. Oh, I see.
No. Well, I'm trying to spin out of the fact that I'm a dum-dum and left it up. So I was trying to reframe it as an opportunity to reach out to our audience, but I guess
I was going to
it's not one
say
of those
that we're just playing fast and loose with our pre-show. And
this
then
whole
we
episode
have a
fast and loose,
countdown.
baby.
But we can choose to now, if it was set to automatically go to 0 and then all of a sudden go into the show, we would have no choice.
Mhm.
But because it doesn't automatically flip, then we sort of have the creative license to just keep talking about maps and GPS and direction
Mhm.
while the countdown timer goes. So it's not officially the show, it's still just kind of chit chat.
Yeah, this is just pre-show during the show.
Yeah, and it's 6 minutes after 4/1, depending on what time zone you're in.
Oh, I have 5 minutes after 4. Time to adjust these clocks for myself. Should I hit this other button?
Yeah, let's do that.
Listen, so I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable. CK, I'm going to push a button, and when I do, the countdown timer is gonna go away. So just want to prep you for that. Goodbye.
So I just saw that I misinterpreted CK's comment, but she obviously knows what a map turner is, and I got real into it. So I apologize.
I use Google Maps way too much. I'll tell you the most frustrating part of Google Maps is when you're sitting next to somebody in the car and you're trying to drive and use it, and they're like, don't drive and use your phone at the same time. And I'm like, I'm fine. And they're like, don't do it. That's the most annoying part of Google Maps.
So I actually use it a lot, but I try and use it in advance to plan my trip, and then I try not to use it while I'm actually driving. It's like a personal challenge. But so you're saying when you're not driving, but they think you're driving and they're trying to stop you from using your phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wink. Yep. Exactly. Oh, no, I'm driving and using the map at the same time. I'm not about to pull over. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But yes, for this, I pull over and use the maps. Wink. And I don't know how that wink looks. I'm not a good winker. I'm usually a double blinker when I try to wink.
It's like what's her face? I never really watched that.
There's
Jeannie?
so many what's her faces.
I Dream of Jeannie. She used to do a blink, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I believe she did.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think she did this. Is that what she did?
Yeah, I think so. I think I just did that. I think you were looking away while
Oh,
you did
sorry. I was looking at the map.
Probably for the best. As you said, this is all fast and loose today.
Mm-hmm.
We decided we're going to do a little bit of a retrospective. It is the end of the year. Everyone is making their 2020 lists, even though it was a gong show. And this is a good time with the year kind of winding down for us to take a look back at this journey so far. What are some of the things that really stood out to us? What are some of the big lessons or takeaways that really stayed with us, and just kind of check in and have a discussion. So it's a little bit more informal today, clearly.
And I would love to also hear from everybody, like, who's watching, things that stood out for them. I mean, obviously there were lots of things that happened, but yeah, I'd be curious to accumulate everybody's changes and what they learned. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I would love to hear that.
But Kat, I don't know. Do you want to talk about last week? Like, we'll keep it semi focused, and then after we'll kind of like talk about 2020.
Sure, let's do it.
I realize you still can't hear that, can you?
I sure can't.
That's good. Because there's a ding sound effect, which I don't know where that's coming from. But
I just smile and nod like it's playing something and hope that if it were quiet, you might speak.
Well, here we are.
I heard that sound. Is that you? Like chimes? Where's
Give me
that
one
coming
second.
from? I'm hearing chimes.
That means Amazon delivered a package. So,
Oh, hey, that's fun.
hey. Yeah.
The roast is done.
That's what it is. Kevin, oh, it's such a delicious roast. You know what's funny is actually we have a roast, Kevin, we're having tonight. So, looking forward to
really?
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the good, the bad, and the meh.
The meh.
Do
Yeah.
you want to kick us off?
Sure. So things that were good. I did a live stream on Saturday night, and that went well. Yeah, that went really well. That was fun. There wasn't like anything that particularly stood out. It was just really nice to have so many faces and just kind of talk and hang out and play games. So I guess the lack of anything going wrong is the thing that made it feel so great.
So
yeah.
I have a question for you because
Sure.
I was able to pop in for part of it.
Mm-hmm.
As I may have mentioned to you, I couldn't really engage because I'm trying to knit a lot of presents for the holidays. I'm on a timeline. So I am knitting when I'm not working, I'm knitting. So, but I did pop in for a little bit and watched while I was knitting. And I noticed that you have had a little bit of challenges on some of your streams with people who are randomly joining your games. And I was wondering if you could let us know, like, what is that like for you? Have you learned anything from that? Because I know that you had some other random show up and while you stopped it before they could do anything untoward. I'm just curious how that feels as the streamer when you have this random jump in there.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Why can you hear that? I turned down the sound. I'm just turning
Is it just me? I don't know. Are other people hearing the roast is done?
So I will say this as I turn off my phone and just disconnect completely from the world. It's been going a lot better in that I'm more. So here's something that I am just normally in my regular life. I'm very go with the flow, but then when I'm like that, I'm very miserable afterwards because it didn't go the way I wanted, which is stupid. And that's one of the reasons I go to therapy. But it's so nonsensical for me to be like, go with the flow and then hope everything works out. Nonsense. That doesn't make any sense. So what I've been doing more is getting a mod in each game and not assuming it'll be fine. Everybody's going to be good here because sometimes there's not, and there's bad actors, and the majority of people who pop in, 99% fantastic. But so the thing that I've been doing is just sticking with that and be like, that's the rule. That's what I need to do. Get a mod, wait a couple minutes. I don't like uncomfortable moments either, but I've been more okay with that. So even if we have to wait a minute or two or three to get somebody who wants to mod, that's been hugely helpful. So sometimes too much trust is a terrible thing. I will say the weird side effect of having people who sometimes mess with the stream is now when a new person, maybe I told you this too. If I have, tell me to shut up. But
well, I don't know yet if I've heard it, but also I'm sure that the people who are here with us live or watching the replay have not heard it.
Kevin, maybe I told you. I don't know. Tell me to shut up. John, somebody. But one thing I've realized is when new people pop into the stream and they're like, oh, I want to play, I get very suspicious immediately. And I'm like, why? Are you a Nazi? You want to say some Nazi stuff in here? Get out of here. So it's weird how quickly I assume. Now I'm just so quick to assume, like, what's your deal? Get out of here. I don't trust you. But then I let go of that because I'm like, That's insane. It's such a small portion. But I do have to turn off that immediately. You have to turn off that sense where I'm like, oh yeah, don't drop your alt-right agenda in here. Get out of here. So I don't know.
Yeah. So kind of jumping to the concern, because you don't want that to ruin, and because I think part of it. So first of all, I will say that getting upset when things don't get your way, that's human. That's not
worst.
Messed up.
They're the worst, Kevin.
But then the other thing I think is that I know that you're a person who genuinely wants to create an engaging environment. You want people to have fun. And then if you find out too late that someone has derailed with garbagey input, that's a bummer for the people, and you care about everyone having a good experience. So I know that you want to take those steps. So having that little suspicion makes sense to pop in. But yeah, like how do you grow your viewers and have more people find you organically that you won't know who they are? So there's that balancing act of, if you want to be reaching more people, you're going to have new people, and you can't assume that they're all bad actors, that some of them are just genuinely curious. They think, hey, this guy seems cool, I want to play. So yeah, it's a tough one.
And that part's true. I'm cool. John, that's a great game. Look forward to this Saturday. Are you a Nazi? Prove it that you're not.
It's a game show. I feel like this conversation might affect this stream showing up as a suggestion for other people. I don't know.
Oh.
We've said this word over and over in the stream.
Oh, okay. We'll change it. We'll use coded language. Are you somebody people don't like, including us? Prove it that you're not.
Rhymes with smotsy.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, viewer discretion is advised. Oh, hey, we had a little throwback from Kevin, who's actually our very first guest on Are We Live Now? He's still thinking about the boy with the M&M pillowcase, which is a story that I told back in August. Maybe I should give a little primer, which was that I shared on one of the live every day in August. I shared a story about a mother and a daughter. I think it was a daughter. I don't think anyway, it doesn't matter. Who was really concerned about eating, and the nutritionist or dietitian was a fan of intuitive eating and was teaching that, when you actually don't restrict yourself, that your body starts to just know what it wants. And so the instructions from the dietitian were to fill a pillowcase filled with M&Ms, because that was her favorite candy, and she could bring it wherever she wanted and eat M&Ms whenever she wanted. And she just slowly stopped bringing the bag everywhere, slowly stopped eating them all the time, and then just only has them on occasion. So it's a cool story. But the visual of a pillowcase completely filled with M&Ms is just hard to wrap your head around. Yeah, it's like imagining space.
It's just like imagining space. That's true.
Yeah, infinity. It's just so big.
Yeah, if you walk into an astronomy class, typically they say, like, if you have a hard time imagining space, imagining M&Ms in our galaxy. Our galaxy is just one M&M in a pillowcase full of them.
Yeah. But like a giant pillow. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great metaphor.
Can I segue for a hot second, because you mentioned M&Ms? Here's one thing I learned in 2020, and so strange that it took me 39 years to get this, but live streaming actually really helped me understand this, which is so odd. Because live streaming kept putting me in front of people, and I had to like connect and talk to people, and I wanted to. But what I found was my eating so dramatically affects my willingness, my interest, and my ability to be creative or connect with people in live stream. And it's just funny, like the last few days I haven't been eating well, and then it just kind of like just hit me. yesterday, and all of a sudden, like my brain wasn't working well, and it was really foggy, and I was having a hard time being creative and thinking of ideas and getting my energy up. So it's really funny that in 2020, the thing that helped me like recalibrate the importance of eating is live streaming.
Mhm.
So,
But I get that. So yes, 100%, it
mhm.
affects you so much, and I still have my ups and downs, even though I've studied nutrition. However, I think maybe one of the reasons that it really hit home is that there's the a more obvious direct connection, maybe between the what you're doing and just noticing how you are optimally when you stream and connect with other people, and then when you start to notice it hindered and you see those connections to the food, and maybe it just didn't register before for some other reason. I don't know. That's it's a good
Yeah,
insight.
yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know. It's and then working out too. Just I mean, exercise and food go hand in hand. But when I do that, kind of the fog lifts. Hey, here's something interesting. You know how they always say you should really like just being alone with your own thoughts because you're always with your own thoughts.
Who says that?
You never heard that? That you should always just like yourself because that's the one person you're always going to have to be with?
Oh, I've heard the like yourself. Not I haven't necessarily heard you should always like your thoughts.
Oh,
That's new to
well,
me. Mhm.
got it. I said it wrong.
Or no, I might just have never heard it
Nope.
legitimately.
Nope. No, you're right. That's exactly, nope. They've never said you should like your thoughts because that is nonsense. I don't know. Anyways, the realization I had today as I was driving in my car listening to music, and it's been a miserable few days. But as soon as I started listening to music, I felt so much better because I wasn't thinking, I wasn't in my head anymore, in my thoughts. And I realized I hate myself that like fills my brain with thoughts. Hate him. What a monster. Horrible, horrible creature. So, anyways, I'm going to write a book that says, I hate myself. And I'm going to move out.
Oh, that's so there's a lot there.
There's a lot there, right? Anyways, the point is,
But one of the things that
nothing.
helped me a
Mhm.
lot is this idea that you are not your thoughts, you're the observer of your thoughts.
There you go.
So I would say, what if you choose to like you, but you don't necessarily agree with all the thoughts that you have, but they're not actually yours. You're just witnessing yourself having these thoughts, but they're not you. How about that? Does that maybe seem like a kinder approach?
Absolutely. So where do we go? What was I talking about? Good. I was talking about a good thing that happened this week. What happened to you this week that was good?
I derailed you because I started talking about the schmazzies.
No, and then I derailed your derailment. So
Well, I went on the M&Ms thing, although that was Kevin's fault. But good. Okay. So in the last week, something that was good was that I took some time to so I think I mentioned that I'd been brainstorming a bunch of content. So I actually took time to put all of that content into my planner, which I have gotten really into Notion, as I have shared with you. If you are not familiar out there with Notion, be careful because it's amazing and you might fall in love with it. Just saying. But I am in love with Notion and I figured out a way to do content planning. And so I've put all these ideas, but then started going through and deciding which would be really good for recorded content and which would be really good for live content. And it really got me excited and reinvigorated around getting back into live streaming with this new direction of teaching people how to really just run better virtual workshops and presentations. And so, yeah, I'm kind of like amped up.
Oh, that's cool.
So now I've sort of put a little bit of an order to it so that if a person is coming along for the ride, that it makes sense and they can build off of previous things. But so I've got this nice Notion planner where I'm mapping out my content and tagging it all properly. And then I can start putting it in the calendar of when I want to have that. So, and if anyone wants to nerd out on Notion, let me know. I'll probably make a video about it.
That's awesome. So you're reinvigorated.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. Even though I haven't done a live stream outside of this show in a while. But coming soon, people, coming soon.
That's
And I
awesome.
see
That's
that
great.
Matt has joined us. Hello, Matt from All Things YouTube. Nice to have you here. And Kevin, Notion, a procrastinator's best friend. So if I can share this, I first learned about Notion from Tina, who was part of the Live Every Day in August challenge. And we both realized we nerd out about a lot of the same things. And she mentioned Notion and what it does. And she did a screen share, and my mind almost exploded because I thought, I'm going to fall in love with this tool. And I paused myself, knowing that I can get really derailed really quickly. So I didn't touch it until later in the fall when I needed to build like a CRM or a customer relationship management for my corporate workshops. So I talked to her and she said, it'll definitely do that, but you have to be careful. You might spend the next few weeks only working on Notion and not making a single call about your workshops. So I took that to heart and I actually put parameters around it. And so I only built the CRM and that was it. And then I had to make a bunch of calls before I could keep building in Notion. And that was a really good technique. And then since then, I do try and make sure that I am not only building Notion. But because I've now built it up to a place where it's really useful, now I'm actually excited to be working on the content and actually excited to working on the projects. So I'm actually creating content in a more engaged and energized way. So win-win.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Kevin says Notion spends 4 hours picking the right icon next to the title without writing the title. Yeah, I may have a few times gotten a little bit derailed, gone into Canva, created custom icons that I could then upload into Notion to make it pretty. So that's a thing. You have to be careful.
Oh, you have a request. Can
I
Disciplined
do?
Cat do a video on being disciplined?
Oh, it's I could, but it would be it'd be misleading because it comes and goes. Comes and goes.
Notion,
So,
one tool for your whole team, write, plan, and get organized. This episode is brought to you by Notion. They don't know it yet, but
they don't yet.
it
No.
is.
They have my heart. And you might laugh, but man, the things that I am enthusiastic about are these types of things. The fact that I can build a relational database or database, it just thrills me. So, yeah, cat heart, Notion heart, cat. It's a love story.
Well, it's good to feel excited about stuff. That's good.
It is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, I have just talked a whole lot about Notion and content brainstorming. So now, we talked a little bit about how things maybe didn't go 100%, but is there anything else in the last week that you want to reflect on before we go into the 2020 retrospective?
What did I do? So there's a Twitch streamer, Julie something, can't remember her last name. She's local to Sacramento, and she uses Adobe Animator, and she never puts herself on screen. She just has this little figure in the corner, which talks and reacts just like she is. And I never understood how that was done. And then somebody mentioned FaceRig, and then somebody mentioned Adobe Character Creator. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm sure it's very complicated. One day I'll get to that. And by one day, I mean many months. I'm sure it'll take me to learn how to do that. And then CK did it last week for her Vlogmas. And I was really blown away. I was like, that's so cool. That's so neat. And she mentioned it was Character Animator. And I'm like, oh, I've heard of that. You learned how to do that? One thing I do is I dramatically inflate the complexity of anything to the point where I'm like, well, nobody can accomplish that. No human being can do such a thing like change a tire. Who can do that? And that's what I did for this. Anyways, when I saw her do it, I was like, cool, I'm going to give that a shot. And I created a little talking. That's what I did yesterday. I made a little talking anime face. So the little anime face that's that I use everywhere. I added a mouth, I added a blinking effect, and now I can just kind of talk, which is kind of cool. So not showing my
Would it
face
be
sounds like a win.
would it be inappropriate to ask if you want to show our audience today, or is it not quite ready?
Uh,
It's okay if you say no. It's okay if you say no.
I could. I will say this in full transparency: when you are talking about 2020 and everything, I may not be able to listen as intently as I'd want to because I might be setting it up. If you're okay with that, because I do care about what you have to
I,
say, but if I want to set
that's
that up,
okay. I think it would be a really fun treat for the listeners or watchers, viewers, audience, you lovely people who are here with us to be able to see what you created because I think it's pretty cool
it's
and
pretty
great
silly.
example of how you said, "Who can do this? This is a thing," and then yeah, you did it. So I
And
say yes.
okay, I will load that up. Also, if anybody's interested, the video that I found on YouTube is actually minutes after I found it. CK's like, "Hey, here's the video I used on YouTube," and I'm like, "Oh, that's the same one I'm watching right now." So if anybody's interested, I will post that for people because it's been hugely helpful. Anyways, yeah, I'll load that up. But anywho, so that was kind of a fun little thing I did last week.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
yeah. It's no
sweet.
notion. It's no notion, but it's
I
fun.
it's I would say it's maybe more exciting than Notion in a different way.
I don't know. When you were telling me about getting reinvigorated and excited, that's a pretty awesome thing. So
That is.
yeah.
Also, it's so beautiful. I have a problem. I
You
think
love calendars.
maybe
I've realized that.
maybe I
You
need.
really love a calendar and organization.
So okay, so for the background is that because I'm a huge nerd about Notion, I created a Notion page, I think, back in November and shared the tech with Paul when we were creating our behind the scenes show, so that I could say, okay, here's all the stuff I have, and I kind of used a table in Notion, and then because I had already set up this shared page, I went in the other day and I created a page for Are We Live Now, so that the two of us can see a calendar of when the episode's coming up, who's going to be our guest, have we sent them the details and the link, is it scheduled, is there a thumbnail, and you can see them all in that calendar view, which is really, really nice. But then you can also have a little table with the guests and the guest information, and then those tables are linked. It's magical. Anyhow, so yeah, I created that. So Paul has had a little glimpse into my new obsession with Notion, and I do love a good calendar view, but there are so many great views. I don't know if I could just limit it to the calendar view.
You're talking. Yeah. Yeah, no. You're right. I will say you do put together an amazing calendar view. So, having seen it, a thing of beauty.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And oh, I see a question here. Can Cat please do that linked visual again? Linked. They belong together. I would love to know if anyone else, maybe Kevin is anyone else kind of a nerd about creating relational databases? Is this just me? And I'm saying it wrong. I always interchange database and database. And Kevin says, you love Notion more than Abby loves her foot. And that's a lot. When the time comes that I've put together a little video showing how I'm using Notion, and I will be putting that on my channel. I will share that with all of you so you can see why I just get so nerdily excited about this stuff. Oh, yes, Matt. Huge database. Okay, so how do you say it, Matt? Data or data? I'm curious. Okay, wait. Relational. Okay, JV. Relational databases and RDBMS. Okay, help me out here. What does that acronym? So, okay, here's the thing. I used to watch Star Trek and I forget how he said his name. So when I talk about that character, I'll usually say it both ways. So do you know, Paul, Were you a Star Wars The Next Generation watcher? And how do you pronounce the name? Is it Data or Data? Data?
I
This
think
is not important. Important.
I think it's database. I've always heard it as database, but data is data. I don't know. I think it's database because I think it's data. It's like, oh, data. If I'm remembering my Star Trek, I never was a Star Trek guy. Never got into it.
Okay. So my brothers both watched The Next Generation, and so I would kind of watch it begrudgingly and be like, "Oh, I want to watch something else." But then I would watch the episodes and usually enjoy them. Okay, so we're getting some data. So, okay. And oh, hey, Techonify. Andy, welcome. So, okay, data. There seems to be consensus that it's like data. And JV was talking about relational database management system. Okay, so as a little backstory, when I was working at a university, we had a bunch of student programs and they were all being managed. There's multiple groups of students going to multiple locations over reading week or spring break, depending on what you call it. And it was all in one Excel sheet, and it just terrified me the way that it was all put together. And I thought, hey, I know how to use Excel. I'm just going to learn how to use Microsoft Access. And it actually made me want to throw my computer out the window because it was not intuitive and it was not like Excel. But I did go to a course, learned how to make it. And once I actually learned how all those things connect, I started building them. And I loved how powerful they were when they were built correctly. And then when I changed universities and went and was helping to manage the campus clubs system, I created a whole another one. And I just got each year, I would make little tweaks, make it better, make it better. And so that's an actual thing that I get excited about. And that's kind of why I got into that. And so when I found out that there's a program that is not, I don't love Microsoft Access. So when I learned about Notion and that I could actually plan my business in it, very exciting.
And you might have mentioned
okay.
this. I'm sorry if you already mentioned
Yeah.
this. It's free, right? I mean, you can pay for a service, but what you're using is the free one, correct?
I'm using the free one and it's powerful. You can do a lot with the free one. And so it's pretty exciting. And then yeah, Matt says Microsoft Access is horrible. Yeah, so it's horrible, but I learned how to make them and I was able to actually make something that was functional and that multiple people could just go in and use, and a lot of automations. We could do like mail merges and all those other very exciting things. All right, I'm totally making my. So yeah, Notion is the name, Sarah. So the actual website I believe is Notion. Is it IO? It's a little N icon. Anyhow, one day I will share a video, but that's my big thing right now. I see lots of, I missed a few things here. So, Andy, thank you. Kat always pronounces things the correct way for what it's worth. Got a little Commonwealth action going on there. And one Excel sheet turns into 2 Excel sheets, turns into 3 workspaces. Yeah, it gets out of control. And I'm glad we've got some love for relational databases. I remember seeing a school timetable on the wall of high school and thinking about how they could make it more efficient if they rearrange things. Yes, Kevin, I feel like you have a very, you have systems thinker and like to see how all those things fit together. Can you bring in data from Access? That's a great question. I don't think so. There are differences and some limitations into what you can actually do with it. And so I don't think you can, but because it also acts like Asana and Trello in that you can track projects, you can actually, they have a few integrations set up, or Evernote, that you can bring in. So you can, I think, log into those different systems if you have them and pull in information. I have Trello and Asana and Evernote, and have now, this Notion will be my main one that I use. But I don't think I'm going to import all that stuff. I think I want to just start fresh and build it the way that I want to see it. And then Matt, just type drop table X, then go home, problem solved. What does that mean? I'm so intrigued. Okay, Paul. So did you get it set up? You seem like maybe
Uh,
you finished while I just went on a rant.
no, I was letting you because I
Not
know
a
you love
rant.
Notion and people seem super excited about it. So I was letting it all happen, which is great.
Don't get me started on join statements. Yeah, we're getting into nerd territory. I love it. So wait, Paul, you
So,
need a little more time.
nope, I think
Oh, you're
that's,
good. Oh,
yes, that's my little face right there. Um, so one thing is I can do that.
this is
And
awesome.
now, whenever I'm talking, well, there we go. So this is me. I can blink,
This is
which is kind of
amazing.
cool. I kind of like this. This is great. I enjoy just kind of being back here, and then I can smile and just be like, "Oh, things are great. Oh, Notion, yay!"
So, okay, now I have questions.
Yes.
How do
There we
you
go.
how is it integrated right now between your speaking? Like, so what program is it
Well,
yeah, help me out.
I'm glad you asked that. Oh boy, oh boy, I need to work out more. I have no neck right now. Oh no, I need to work out. So it actually connects via NDI. Yay, NDI. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty great. And I've never had one app more smoothly connect with vMix ever. It literally was meant, it took 10 seconds just to it was automatically sending NDI out already. So it kind of knew exactly what you'd want to use it for. And it just connects the background. There has no background. It comes out, full transparency, and there you go.
Okay, so is an Adobe program open right now that hears you speaking and it does the animation, or is there something else at play? Is there another interface involved?
Oh, yes. So that's the only thing, is that you're going to have a pretty strong computer. My computer isn't that strong, actually. And I'm running everything. I'm running vMix. I'm running the Adobe Character app and NDI, all of that. I'm just on one system. Um, so I don't know the resource it takes for Adobe, but yeah. So I'm just running it all, and what it's doing is it's just watch. It's pretty amazing tech that's all built in there. It watches your mouth and how it's moving, and it just kind of adjusts the mouth kind of adjusts based on the sounds that it's seeing and hearing. And
Okay, hold on. It's watching your mouth. How, how is that happening?
well, it's watching your
Does it
mouth,
use
and
your
it's
camera
also,
to see you?
yes. So it uses the same camera right now. It's
Oh,
using my Sony 6400. So it actually recognizes where your mouth is. It recognizes where your eyes are. So when you're blinking, it blinks. And
it's amazing.
now it's the thing is, you have to go in there and create the blink. Like I had to basically erase the eyeballs and say, when I blink, this is what I want to happen. Um,
Yeah.
and there's actually this really great package. I think CK mentioned it as well in the comments in the chat. That Samurai guy provides this really great mouth, because each mouth sound, because it pays attention to your microphone as well as the visual. So when it hears certain
Okay.
sounds, it'll show a certain mouth movement. So, or when it smiles, it'll smile on screen. So, and he provides a whole package of those. So,
Wow. Okay. And so, yeah, this is really exciting. And yes, Kevin, the cogs are turning in my mind. You're not wrong. I don't think I would connect this to Notion. Oh, you know what? I could do my Notion tutorial with my animated face teaching. That would be one way that I could integrate it somehow. But wow, that's awesome.
it's pretty cool.
I'm
It's
impressed.
pretty neat.
It's very cool. Yeah.
And you can control all sorts of stuff. So you can control how flexible the head moves. Like if you turn a little bit, it'll turn a lot more. I dialed that way down. So if my head's, because I move a lot, so I didn't want my head to you know, flop everywhere. So
Spinning out of control.
spinning out of control.
Could you make it like Terrence and Philip with a flapping head?
Yes.
Do you get my reference?
Yes,
Okay.
you 100% could. Yeah.
Because that would also be amazing.
That'd be pretty awesome. That'd be pretty funny.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know. I don't know if we can top that.
all you have to do Terrence and Philip is whenever you open your mouth or it hears sound from your microphone, it would just be separating the animation. Yeah, you could totally do that. It's one of those cool things where it's, as I was kind of going down the rabbit hole yesterday, I was like, oh, this is a very deep hole. Like there are people who can do all sorts of different things. Like there's videos out there on how you can like simulate, make it look like you're turning your head so it looks three-dimensional. So it's pretty cool.
That's great. I just realized, so that was amazing. So we saw your animation. Very cool. I am glad that you were able to pull that out. And I went on a diatribe about my love of relational databases. We haven't really talked about 2020. So do you want to do a little bit of a look back, a retrospective, if you will, on how, so we've been at this now, it's our 13th episode right now. So we've done 12 episodes. So maybe we can just kind of circle back on what we have learned from it or lessons we've taken away or what's, just kind of reflecting on the last 12 weeks.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think also what's funny is everybody, so you know, before this, we were texting back and forth and we're like, hey, let's be nice to ourselves. If it's a short episode, that's totally fine. Little did we know that we'd be getting into Notion and animated faces. So
yeah, that was a surprise. Neither of us planned that.
Neither of us did. But I love how much you love talking about Notion, and I think it's awesome. It's an amazing little service. So,
little powerhouse. Okay, so
I feel like we both talked about things that are real powerhouses, like things that it's like it can be as shallow or as deep as you want it. Like an character animations, it can be super simple, but it can also be really complex. So, yeah. Yes. Like Notion.
And just a quick thing about Notion, if anyone does start to explore, don't get overwhelmed. Just, there are simple ways to start and learn it, and then you can just kind of slowly build. But, okay, back to the show. And I see Kevin says 2020, a rough year, but also the best year. There have been some pretty great things, and we do have a little something. I'm not going to give it away, but we do have something special planned for next week. It's a few days before Christmas, for those of you who celebrate Christmas. And that will also have a little bit of an element of reflection on streaming. So please put that in your calendar for next week. I'm really excited about next week. But for now, so I'll share, there's a few things that I did want to share when it comes to what I have learned from this. Also, please let me know if my microphone is being extra sensitive to some background noise, because I'm noticing some.
I don't notice anything personally.
Okay.
So
a couple of the things when I was sitting down today and I was thinking about the last 12 episodes, we've had 9 guests who have come on and spoken with us, is that there's a few things that seem to be coming to the fore. Now you are.
Now I noticed it.
This is why I need a new microphone, folks. So I need a noise gate or something like that. So hey, this is live streaming. And that brings me to my first takeaway, which is
segue. Nice.
Never perfect. I think almost every single guest that we talked to shared how this is a work in progress and that you are progress and that it's something that is ever changing and that you just need to show up and do it. And it's not perfect. And if you wait for perfection, you're just not going to do it. And I guess that connects to this idea of just starting. So you want to balance having a plan and doing some preparation. So you're not just showing up completely unprepared, but if you just keep planning and thinking, no, it's not, I'm not ready, then you're never going to actually just get in there and start learning from experience, because that's really the deepest way to learn, is by showing up, actually streaming and then saying, okay, now what can I change? And so those were a couple of the big things. And then one other note that I made, because I can't decide, so I would love to hear from both you, Paul, and those who are with us, is I was going to say it's 90% mindset and 10% tech, but I don't know if that's actually quite right. And I was kind of balancing, there's so much mindset, there's so much to showing up and doing this live streaming thing, but having the tech to be able to execute it is obviously important. So I'm curious what you think. What's the actual balance? Is that maybe a little too much? Maybe do we need to throw a bit more towards tech? But if so, how much? So I'd love to hear from you.
No, I think that, so I would love to hear what everybody thinks in the comments. I am definitely, it sounds less, so I have a lot of tech. I mean, I have the camera and the lights. So, I mean, take this with a grain of salt. I don't think the tech is super important. Now, I do think I think if you're insecure, this is going to sound judgy, but this is more about me. If you are insecure, the tech can feel like a thing to control. And then you're like, oh, I can buy things and be better on screen and I can control that. But I think the truth is you can't really control. Either you need to work and have a better presence and connect with people. And that is something I think that actually you can control, but I think we get consumed with tech and we're thinking about like buying this and money is the solution, spending and buying things and I'll look better and people will like that more. But I think what people really like is just a nice person that they can connect with and who's sharing something. So I think the thing that you can control is your willingness to connect with people, but that takes a lot of change and that takes a lot of mindset shift. And sometimes I think people think if I can buy my way out of it, I don't need to be that. I can just look real good and that'll be a solution. So I think the truth is closer to what you're saying, 90-10. It doesn't really matter what the tech you have. It just matters. I mean, think about Monty. Everybody loves watching his lives. What is it, dude? The dude's always rocking like a phone. Like he's always like rocking a phone, walking around. But the dude is so connected and cares about everybody. You can't help but just care and want to watch that guy. So that's the one that pops into my mind. Because I know he's always walking around or from the car. Like he'll even be in his car driving and you're like, I want to watch. So that was a lot of words.
Yeah, you need tech to be able to do it. So it's not a thing that you can't have. It needs to be part of it. And that some people can use it as a confidence builder. And I will say, when you've got it locked in and it's working well, it can make you feel more confident and more ready to show up. However, the showing up is one of the biggest hurdles. Now I'm seeing that there's a little bit of reference here to marketing. So I guess we didn't really actually acknowledge the marketing part and more the just pressing play. Because yeah, you want an audience, you want to market yourself, definitely. I really like Kevin's math here. 80% marketing, 10% tech, 10% content, 10% luck, and 0% maths. And I see, so Sarah's saying, for me, it's the opposite. So, and maybe I would love to hear some more about that, Sarah, if you're willing to share. But obviously having the right tech is helpful, but is it the 10%? Does that mean that maybe you don't have as many barriers to going live as maybe someone else might have had? And, okay. What else?
Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with all these comments.
Yeah.
Also, all things YouTube, Sony equals instant success. You're wrong because you have to have a 16mm lens. Otherwise, what are you doing? Get out of here. I'm kidding.
Capture card.
That's true.
So I recently had a non-streaming colleague who is interested in using Ecamm for running group sessions, which is amazing. That's one of the things I do is I use it with groups using Ecamm. It's a wonderful tech for that. And she said, okay, I've got Ecamm. If we do want to take it up a little bit of a notch and invest in some things, what do you use? What do you recommend? And when he started listing out all of the things, I just thought, wow, this really, it can escalate very quickly once I started listing them all. So there's a little bit of a chain reaction that goes on once you start to make that decision to, like, if you get a nicer camera, then you need a camera or a capture card, and then you might need some extra cables that are longer to connect everything. And then if you want to have the Stream Deck to be able to do all of the controls without, anyway, so it can escalate pretty quickly.
It's like that book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I don't know why I talk about that book so much. I'm not familiar with that book. No? Oh, boy. Treat yourself. What a classic. If you give a mouse a cookie, what's he going to ask? If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. And if he asks for a glass of milk, it's just like a cascading. If you do this, you need this. And you do this, you need this. And then it just kind of like escalates and escalates. So. Yeah.
So don't feed the mouse.
Starve your mouse.
Let it starve.
That was the message. At the end of it, it was like, let that mouse starve. It was a darker child's book.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. I forgot about lights. Yeah. Lights. Road cats. Yeah. All that stuff.
LED
and
lights.
I am
more LED lights.
More LED lights. As you can see, I have not gone that direction with the. I do have an LED in front of me, a little bit to the right. So there was something else I was going to say related to what we were just talking about. So, yeah. So the talking mouse. The point that I wanted to make is that live streaming is, sometimes we think of it as separate, but I actually think it's a lot like other business ideas or projects or anything that's creative. One of the advantages to live streaming is that once you press play, you're doing it. You are creating in that moment. Whereas I think a lot of us can procrastinate on other projects and just feel like, okay, it's not quite ready, and we can just take our time and stretch it out. So something refreshing about live streaming is once you have committed and publicly said, I am showing up at this time and this place and this platform, once you press play, it's happening, and just be in the moment and do it. And that to me is really refreshing, because there are some things that I have just kind of dragged along for a long time and not actually made because there wasn't a time that had to be ready. So that's one thing that's, I think, really nice about live streaming that I have learned from this experience.
One thing I've learned, which I think it connects really nicely with yours, is that one thing that I've tried to like hack my way sometimes out of not wanting to stream, like, having doubts in my brain, like, oh, I'm not ready, it's not good enough, which happens. And the thing that's helped, which is funny because I actually got it from a video game I was playing, and I was like, oh, that's a really great point, that the best thing you can do is help people. And the thing that helps me get over anxiety or anything before going live is thinking, okay, what am I doing that's going to help somebody today? And is there anything that's worth doing today that is going to help? Even if it's making somebody hopefully laugh and feel better, or, show them this thing, or teach them improv. It helps a lot when I teach, before I teach my improv classes. It's like, what am I doing that's going to help somebody's life? Or could help somebody's life. And that has been a wonderful way to hack through anxiety and stuff. Because it's like, great, that's what I'm here to do, is help, teach. And that's been helpful.
Do you know why I love that so much?
I do not.
It makes it not about you, and it makes it about them.
Yes.
So it flips it. So instead of, oh, I don't want to show up, or I'm not sure I feel up to it, you are saying, okay, what what am I doing for someone else? And it's actually about them. It's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helps to flip it and to say, okay, just show up anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then you don't have to worry about yourself anymore. Yeah, you don't have to worry about yourself anymore. If they are helped, if at the end you feel like they're learning something, then you did what you did. It doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter all the external stuff. It just matters, were you able to help them?
Yeah.
Which I also think will
Yep.
shortcut a lot of your concerns if you have over tech, because a lot of times you can help people without a
Yeah.
lot of tech. So
No, that's very true. So I see a comment here from Matt from All Things YouTube saying, don't ignore edited videos. Those are powerful. Yes, edited, recorded videos are powerful. That is actually the success from my Ditching Diets and Die is completely attributable to, well, specifically to one recorded video, as well as a couple others. But I think when you're trying to balance, and that's, I think I mentioned before, when I was doing that content brainstorm, really thinking what would be great in a recorded format and what would be great in a live format, because they're not equal. And so how do you show up and serve your community in a way that helps them, but make sure that it's the right format, I guess.
And also another powerful comment. Kevin mentions he's learned a lot from computer games too, like running away from ghosts unless I've eaten cherries. That's straight up wisdom, Kevin. Thanks for sharing.
I'm definitely missing the reference towards that one.
I
am seeing CK.
I think he's making a Pac-Man reference. I think so.
Oh.
I think so.
Oh, Kevin just... So CK said, so someone asked for directions. Will you provide them with land markers instead of cardinal directions if that's what they like? It's about them, not you. I have... Usually if I start to say left, right, and north, east, south, west, and they start to look at me sideways, I will change it. But nowadays, because of GPS, people don't ask for directions as much. But yeah, no, I know when I'm talking a different language than someone and they're just not, if they glaze, then I can try and shift. But because I don't pay attention to those markers, I don't actually always know that's not how I remember how to get around. So I can't actually give people those directions all the time. But people don't ask.
If they glaze, hey buddy, it looks like you're dying inside. Should I explain how to get there a different way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was by the Timmy's, by the mailbox. Yeah. Yeah, never provide them a map. I love maps. Okay.
Hey, Eileen, welcome.
Yes, welcome. Beautiful people.
That's a good way to say hello.
It is. I like that. I've seen some creative ways to address groups that aren't just calling everyone guys. And there's a lot of creative ones that I really like.
Yeah, I say hello, beautiful people. It's up there, probably in the top 3.
Oh, okay. So I will now. Kevin made a comment about directions. I will just say that some of my worst moments have been getting lost in the UK. It's just a whole different ball game, and I got beeped at in a roundabout in Manchester. It was awful. I accidentally got on a little like highway type thing and then back off of it. The street signs, there's just, it's not the same. And we didn't splurge for the GPS, which we should have. But and we also decided to save money on getting a standard vehicle because both Phil and I drive standard. And we thought, hey, it's so much cheaper to get a standard rental car, but it's on the other side. So it was a disaster. It was absolutely horrible. I hated trying to get around. So there's some fights, and that's what taught me that Phil and I could never enter The Amazing Race. We would probably, one of us would end up in jail.
Or everybody would love watching you and be like, oh boy, how are they going to navigate this one? I will say this.
We'd make good fodder, but it would end the relationship.
So are UK people, and I understand UK is different than Ireland. They're different. I've been over to Ireland, and is there like a certain amount of bragging rights the higher you can make your hedges? Because hedge height is unnecessarily high. What's happening? Why? We're driving along the road. I can't even see around the bend because this guy's hedges are so high. I'm like, this is absurd. I'm not a big fan of HOAs, but at some point, there has to be agreement. Keep them low. That's my
Well,
hot Irish hedge take.
hashtag. So I I would say, why are the roads so narrow? I get why they're narrow, but man, that was a lot of stress as well. Just tiny little stones on the side of the road and these really narrow roads. And then me constantly having a heart attack because I felt like we were going to go off the side of it.
Yeah,
Um,
they are really narrow. Hey, everybody in chat, what do you hate about the UK and Ireland? Let us know. Put it in there. I'm kidding. Well, there might be something. I don't know.
and JV, I appreciate the amazing race. Little shout out there. You are the last to arrive, but it's a non-elimination. It's like, no.
I am. Kevin, it's true. I can't I'm not exposed to so many hedges over here. So
Is is that what hedge?
Techodify, you hate the Taurus. Well, well played, sir. Well played. That made me laugh.
This is pretty fun. Okay, so out of respect for people's time,
Oh, we're over.
our nice our nice short show has gone over, which is not a surprise. But are there any sort of concluding thoughts as we briefly look back at our show so far?
I think we had a few good statements today. It wasn't all off the rails.
Yeah, maybe just once in a while we need an episode where we just clearly need to get whatever we want to talk about just gets out there, like Notion and animation and
Mhm.
M&Ms and hedges and yeah. Oh, thank you, Andy. That's very nice. Yeah,
Oh,
Kevin, I do
thanks,
not know
Andy.
that word.
That is very nice. Appreciate it. I'm here also. Greatest trip ever went Ireland. I look forward to going to the UK. I've never been there. Oh, I'm so looking forward to traveling again. That is for sure the
Can
thing I'm looking
I
forward to the most.
share a little Ireland adjacent story?
Here's the thing, Kat, you can keep going. We can all keep going. We don't have to stop. We can keep going. Oh, Dr.
That's great.
Elo's. Oh boy. Dr. Elo's at 2:00, isn't he? Shoot. Well, everybody, we're gonna keep talking, but watch Dr. Elo on the replay. That's important. Yeah.
Yes. We're not trying to squash on
We're not.
anyone, our friends shows.
He's awesome.
I feel like if we have any Games of Thrones fans, they might appreciate this story, which is that while they were, so I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I have read all of the books, watched the episodes, spent countless hours watching all of the YouTube episodes about Game of Thrones. I've read the other stuff, like getting deep in there. Anyhow, big Game of Thrones fan. So there were two different trips we went on where there was a close encounter. The first one, we were in Croatia, and we were in the old town of Dubrovnik, and that's where they film the Red Keep scenes. And we missed them by one day. Now, the good news was that we actually got to see the old town because it's gorgeous. But the bad news was we literally could have seen Cersei filming a scene the next day. So I was really, really bummed about that. However, the next time that our trip sort of bumped up is we went to Belfast when they were filming the final season of Game of Thrones, and they were staying one block from our hotel.
What?
And they were filming. And so each night that we were there, I would go onto Twitter and kind of see if they were spotted, because I found that Twitter was probably the place where people would
You were
share the fast
stalking them?
real time. Oh yeah, and like missed them. We were so close. They were going out as a cast to bars, and we were so close. Just the near misses. And
No.
maybe we actually walked past one of them and just didn't know. But man, I really wanted a sighting so bad. But the cool thing was that we did go up to the Titanic Museum, which is right across the street from where they film in their studios, and they were actually building the big sort of end Red Keep scene. So we got to see all the construction because it was so tall that you could actually just see it from the Titanic Museum. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I would have loved to have had a sighting. Anyway, that was my little story that was related to Northern Ireland.
The Red Keep scene in the final season?
So the one I think they were building on the studio so there were two, I believe. I mean, it's kind of hard to, and they have really good security, but I think one was when there's sort of a face-off when they come up and Cersei has help me out, the girl that they took hostage, which is Daenerys's like first-hand man.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
I'm blanking on her name at the moment.
Don't know her name.
So there's that scene, and then, but I think also they were sort of building the village for the big ending when things don't go so well.
I will say it's kind of interesting that they built it right next to the Titanic. You have to wonder, what was the bigger failure, the final season or the Titanic? Hot takes.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Shots fired. You can't wrap up a story.
Missandei. Yeah, Missandei. Thank you.
Oh, dang. CK, thanks for the knowledge.
Wait. One day. Oh, yeah. One day. Okay. Any other final thoughts?
I'm trying to think if I was ever next to any filming. Nope. I once was eating breakfast in LA and oh shoot. He plays the Green Goblin in Spider-Man. He's done a ton of other things since
Oh
then.
yeah, character actor.
No, I'm sorry, his son. Who is his son? He was in 147 Hours. It's gonna drive me nuts.
Oh yeah, the brother.
I can't remember. Anyways,
yeah, James Franco. Thank you, CK.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
I was 2 tables away from Franco, so that was exciting. That was something. But no, don't have a lot of brushes with I don't know.
Speaking of Croatia, we did see a set that was being built, and we asked what movie it was for, and it was for the newer Robin Hood movie, which Phil decided to throw it on the other day. It's terrible.
Woof. Yeah.
Sorry if there are any fans of that, but that was bad.
Is that the one that was like edited like an action movie and stuff, and it was like all these odd music choices? I don't know.
And
I can't think of the name of it.
Couldn't tell what era it was happening in because they would wear like a blazer.
Yes. What a train wreck.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
bad.
So bad.
Yeah, it's really. I was mostly knitting, so I could only but it was like painful even while I was knitting.
Real quick, if we're talking about movies, 2 movie recommendations. I recently watched the movie Duel, which came out in 1971, I believe. It was Spielberg's first film, and he wrote it. And it's really great. And you can definitely see how it influenced Jaws. And yeah, it was really interesting. And then I also saw The Kings of Summer, which came out in 2013, which has just a murderer's row of amazing comedians in it. Like, insanely. I was like, wait, you're in it, and you're in it, and you're in it. And it's a tiny little film. But the director did a lot of stuff with Funny or Die, because I was so baffled on why so many great names are in it. Anyways, he did a lot of stuff with Funny or Die, so he had a lot of comedy connections. Great lineup of comics. So
it's always nice when you can see lots of great people in one place.
It was.
I see CK has a close encounter in New Zealand, waiting for an elevator or a lift, and I have a Pauly Shore sighting. I was in St. Louis for a conference, and it was called the what was the name of it? It was anyway, it's a conference for campus activities. And so it's all these agents will bring in acts that you can book at your campus. And one of the agents walked in, and Phil knows him from Toronto, and he was with Pauly Shore. We're like, that's super weird. That's Pauly Shore. But that conference, I got to see Amy Schumer live. This was in 2010. And so 10 years ago, I was a really big fan of hers from Last Comic Standing. And so I was very excited that I got to see Amy Schumer do some stand-up back then before she blew up.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be really neat. Oh, CK.
Ooh, Patrick Stewart. Oh, Star Trek convention. Yeah, but still, Patrick Stewart. That's awesome.
Kevin, my cousin was in the closing scene of Ghostbusters. That's cool.
That's cool. That's really cool.
She was on her way to school. That's awesome. Oh.
This is pretty exciting to hear these other encounters.
Guys, we've all lived lives and ran into people. It's very exciting. It is kind of cool to see all the people we've run into. It's like a 6 degrees separation thing.
All right, what do you say? Should we wrap this puppy up?
Yeah. And Kevin, thanks for the note. I'll go back and watch. I can see Spielberg in the reflection of the phone booth. I know which scene you're talking about. So I'll go check that out. Yeah, Kat, anything you're working on in the next week you want to talk about?
I'll probably be spending a lot of time in Notion. I also did share that I, with some of the other folks who are in the streaming accelerator group with Live Streaming Pros, that I started putting my Stream Deck together to use for productivity and for Zoom, and it's been amazing. So I am going to work on a video of that showing that will go on my channel, but I think I'm also going to share a little bit more about that, like some actual video of how I created it and whatnot, and answer questions that people might have about doing that. So that's a pretty exciting thing that might be coming up. Yeah, so I will be putting that out there. Just have to schedule everything.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah, how about you? Anything coming up?
So so my goal is to create a video or two. I've created a new character and I haven't done anything with him, but he's his name is Bo Lightfoot, and he's going to give ridiculous tips on how to up your social media game and how to be a better streamer. It's very silly, but I got some ideas. I just got to go film them. So that's it.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so nothing really live streaming, more video. So it'll be great. It'll be fun once I do it. Once I do it and sit down and edit it.
And we'll be putting together a fun show for next week that'll be a little different than our usual.
Yeah.
So,
and we
to have you guys back for that.
We have snow, which will be helpful. So
it will be. It will be.
So that's.
And to answer an earlier question, it is not Festivus for the rest of us. It's a little bit of a different thing there.
It's a little different. So cool. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This was fun.
Yeah. Lots of fun.
All right. Bye.
Bye.